Happy Monday morning. I'm Jim Feist, and I'm joined by Hank Goldberg. We're coming off a very interesting weekend. We had 3 shutouts in the NFL, and a couple of teams, like the Titans and the Browns, they had a whole bunch of field goals. Some teams never scored until the final couple plays of the game. San Francisco couldn't get any points. The Giants got 7. Denver shut out 2 weeks in a row. Atlanta, embarrassment on Sunday Night Football. Hank, it was a heck of a weekend. And how did you end up?
Well, I did poorly in the contest because I got in on Thursday because I liked the Thursday night game, which I lost. But I did well betting because I changed my mind on a lot of games on Saturday, and I wound up losing 2 games betting, and I won I won a few. So, on Vegas Insider, I actually went 4-2 yesterday. So I had a decent day there, but I'm 1-4 in the contest, which is a big setback for me. But from what you tell me, the leaders didn't do well either. But something, like for example, I decided that I liked the Rams yesterday, so I bet them. I just looked at that Arizona team and I thought there's no way that Adrian Peterson has another game like he had the week before against that Ram defense. And I think that Ram team and that quarterback and that running back combination was too good for Arizona. And I didn't know that the Arizona quarterback was going to get hurt. But I thought that he was done at the beginning of the season. He's slow, and he's a target. And unfortunately, he got hurt. I'll tell you, the best news the Dolphins had was their quarterback, their $10 million guy, got hurt. And there's no way he plays on Thursday. But the guy that should have been in there in the first place, Moore, came back and came from behind to beat the Jets. But the Dolphins' defense played a lousy game. They made the quarterback look like Namath for a while. And their defense is not good, not consistent. Of course, they're going against Thursday night. They're going against a team that can't score. So, and Flacco shouldn't even be in the league anymore. He's pathetic. And the coach for the Ravens, he shouldn't be in the league anymore either. He has nobody to blame anymore. He's good at throwing people under the bus in the past, but who's he going to blame now? They stink.
There are some very bad football teams in the NFL. There's no one that really stands out as being a super team. But I do think you're going to see some teams start to really turn it around. And like Bill Belichick said a few years ago, because of the collective bargaining agreement, the lack of practice and playing time during the preseason, and other restrictions that the collective bargaining agreement put on the teams, it takes to about week 6 to get these clubs to really start to turn it around and start to see something from them. And I do believe that's true. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're up and down team. They lose to Jacksonville, then they'll beat a couple good teams, and they do play to the level of their competition. There's no question.
Well, I took the Steelers yesterday. That was another winner that I had betting. I'll tell you a game that I alerted you to on Friday was that I thought that Atlanta's in real trouble. We talked about Sarkisian and what he's done to that defense or that offense rather, but that quarterback looks insecure. He's not the same guy. And they couldn't score. They missed the field goal, and the fog had nothing to do with it. They've been in a fog for the last couple of weeks. But something, they were shut out basically for The second half, the announcers, boy, they had a bad game last night. I thought Collinsworth was really off his game. They never pointed out. They kept talking about the Super Bowl like this was an extension of the Super Bowl game. I was tired of hearing about last year's Super Bowl. How about last week's game where they were shut out in the second half against the Dolphins? The Dolphins shut them out in the second half. That lousy Dolphin defense that gave up 28 points against the Jets yesterday afternoon. Nobody pointed that out. Where was Collinsworth on that? He never mentioned it. And here they were, shut out for 3 quarters, against New England, whose defense had not been playing very well. Which tells you that Atlanta, the problem was with Atlanta's offense.
Well, yeah, the offense, the drop-off from offensive coordinator Shanahan to Sarkisian has been huge. But the one thing I'll say
but look at the drop-off in the play of that quarterback. He's been horrible this year. He truly, going into that game, he had 6 touchdown passes and 7 turnovers. Doesn't that tell you that something's wrong with the guy? They never pointed that out. Collinsworth, who's an award-winning analyst, never pointed that out.
Well, like all of us do, he had a bad day. The one thing I can say about the Super Bowl last year, when forget the physical toll that it took on the team, the psychological toll. They have been doing this all year. They have failed against. They were very fortunate to beat Detroit. They lost to Buffalo at home. They lost to Miami at home. They didn't show up at New England. This team has lost their psychological edge, and you hit it. Confidence level. Not only Matt Ryan, but the entire team is in a funk. And I think it does come from the Super Bowl hangover. There is a Super Bowl hangover. It's been there for decades. And I think Atlanta is suffering from that and the loss of their offensive coordinator. And quite frankly, I think maybe Dan Quinn should take more of the responsibility, not only for the Super Bowl loss, but for the lack of preparation for this year. Maybe Dan Quinn should be going.
Well, I'll tell you something. How about the coaching job that Dan Quinn did in that game? On 4th and 8, going for it? Not kicking on 4th and 8 when he had no field position? He made it on 4th and 8, but the second time he tried on 4th and 6, they didn't make it. And they gave the ball back to New England with putting their defense in terrible field position.
Yeah,
what was that about?
Well, I suppose he's
maybe he couldn't see the field and didn't know where the ball was with that fog.
Yeah, the whole team's been in a fog, but you talk about that particular team and the division that they're in. There is one team in that division that's playing quite well, and that's the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that game too. The Saints, going into Green Bay, got a real break, and that they were playing against a quarterback who's not ready to play in that league. And, the Saints had to settle for field goal, or the Packers were settling for field goals in a game where if they had the regular quarterback, the Saints would have gotten beat on Sunday. So they got lucky.
Well, there's no question. But, Aaron, we talked about it last week. I mean, it was a 12-point switch in the point spread, and just off of his loss. But the Packers are in trouble because of several injuries, but the biggest one, of course, is Aaron Rodgers.
Well, something, when that game went down to 4 points, I had the Packers in the contest, and I almost won, by the way. It took a second half backdoor cover on the Saints' part to give me the win in the game. I gave the 4 points. So, I came out okay in the game. But, and there was supposed to be a high-scoring game, but and the weather wasn't a factor as it was supposed to be. But Green Bay's offense, that quarterback, he couldn't move the ball in key situations, and the defense for the Saints, which is better than people thought it was going to be, they were all over that quarterback, and he couldn't do anything in the face of a rush, and he made some horrible throws, and basically their best plays were running plays, and everything he was doing was based on checkdowns for the most part. Now, they're in real trouble, Green Bay. They're not going anywhere. And Minnesota right now, they've been getting by with Keenum, and I think Minnesota right now looks like the team to beat in that division. They're going to waltz through. Detroit is not what people thought they were going to be, and how about the Bears game? What happened to Cam? He looked awful in that game.
There's been several games this year where he's looked awful. He has not looked very good at all. There was a couple of games he played very well, but he's inconsistent. He's not an accurate passer. He does a lot of damage with his legs when he can do it. I'm not liking this Panther team right now. But I mean, let's not jump over the Bears. They're running the ball and they're playing defense, and they're playing pretty well. I mean, I don't think they're going to go very far.
I got to tell you something. They're not going to go anywhere either. Eventually, that quarterback's going to have to do something. What did he have, like 16 yards or something like that?
He didn't do anything.
His numbers were ridiculous. But they can run the ball. And the defense, that coach is over the hill. But they caught a break. They had no Kuechly to go against, and so they were able to run on Carolina, who without Kuechly takes a big hit in their run defense.
The Chicago Bears yesterday had 5 first downs, 153 total yards. Their third down efficiency was 2 of 11. This was absolutely incredible how they won the game. Well, how they won the game was very simple.
Special teams.
With special teams and Cam Newton, he found a favorite receiver. It just happens he plays for the other team.
Yeah, they just handed him the game.
Yeah, they did.
I'll tell you something. Tennessee didn't look that good either, but they got by.
Everything the Tennessee did yesterday and their opponent were all field goals, and they had to go to overtime to win it. And that was these teams. We have a lot of B and C teams. There are no A teams in the NFL right now. We might develop a couple. I mean, New England is always that type of team. Somebody that can put it together. Dallas, maybe if they can. But if they're going to lose Elliott at some point, that's going to be a problem. The Seahawks play tough defense. Their offense is subject to questions, but they do play a rough tumble game, and you never know where. This is not a league right now where you have that A team that can stand out and say.
I'll tell you the best team out west is the Rams, and the Rams I think is going to win that division. The Seahawks don't have a good offensive at all. They can't generate offense, and they're going to need it eventually. But Arizona's done, and San Francisco hasn't won a game, and they're not going to go anywhere. And I think the Rams are going to slide through that division, and they're going to be the team out west.
Well, they certainly have played that way. I wouldn't count out the Seahawks, but
I'm counting them out. You heard it here.
Okay.
They're toast. They don't have any offense.
Well, no, they don't have a lot of offense, but they do make up a lot of it on the defensive side. But right now the Rams have played extremely well. I mean, this team went down to Dallas and beat Dallas on the road. I mean, they go all the way over to London.
And they were smoking Arizona. You know, and the wise guys were all over Arizona in this game, and Arizona was getting crushed before the quarterback went down.
Oh, Arizona
They couldn't do anything offensively.
Arizona never made the trip to London. I mean, just they were horrible team yesterday, and they're done now. I mean, they don't really have great backups at quarterback either.
Well, they've been up and down. They've been up and down all year.
Carson Palmer.
Problem, you know,
I would suspect Carson Palmer is finished. I don't think he will ever come back. I mean, he's been talking.
Yeah.
He's been talking retirement anyway, and now with the arm, I think that's the end of his career.
Yeah.
But you know, the Pittsburgh. Let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know how talented they are, and I know you have a special name for their quarterback, but they have the talent to be a very dangerous football team, and you know, Roethlisberger has got 2 Super Bowl rings. He knows how to do it. He's done it. And they're running back. Their defense is strong. If they put it together, that is a very difficult team and can go somewhere. That could be a team to beat. But we thought that at the beginning of the year, but they started out so slow, but they're now starting to round into shape. So that's one of the teams that might start to emerge.
I'm not getting carried away by them beating Cincinnati. They always beat Cincinnati. I think they're 8-1 the last 9 times that they played them, and you know, Cincinnati. They own that team. We'll see what happens to Pittsburgh. But you know, if you look at that division, you know, who do they have to beat?
Well, not a lot, because Baltimore is definitely not anywhere near.
Baltimore's going nowhere with Flacco and that offense, and they're really beat up right now. And you know, Cincinnati's not going anywhere, and Pittsburgh's got all the talent. Their defense is good, and they got the running back.
Of course, I
think that base is limited.
We have to worry.
As long as he's aware of his limitations, Pittsburgh will be okay.
We have to worry about the Cleveland Browns. You know, they might go on a winning streak.
Yeah, exactly. Of 1.
A winning streak of 1. No, you're right. The Rams are looking very good. I think Pittsburgh's going to round into shape. Of course, the Patriots are going to be there. There's some. You really have to jump around the league to find quality. It's difficult. It's not.
And you look at the Southern Division in the NFC. And, the Saints are looking pretty strong right now. And Atlanta is really in a funk. They're going nowhere the way things look from their standpoint. And the Saints are winning that division by default.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. I don't count out the Detroit Lions as to put up a few tough battles. They have a decent team, and with Green Bay out of it, Minnesota playing with a backup quarterback, and the Bears, doing it with smoke and mirrors. You never know. They at least have their starting QB, and he is capable. And
you know something, I think Minnesota's going to get their quarterback back eventually, and if they can hang in with that defense, and McKinnon is a nice running back. He's picked up the slack somewhat from the loss of the star rookie, but McKinnon runs the ball pretty well. I think that defense is going to keep Minnesota in games. And Keenan does just enough. But I'm not giving up on our preseason Minnesota bet.
Well, they're sitting in pretty good position. I mean, they keep winning even with their backup quarterback. So if they can hold it true, they are the strongest team that now that Green Bay has fallen off because of the quarterback. But if Bradford comes back, he doesn't have a great track record of staying healthy very long, and that is a problem. But Hank, how were your horses this weekend? I know you had a good week.
We killed it. We absolutely killed it. We gave out. We had the winner of the stakes race at Keeneland. He was a 3-1. But Belmont, they had a bunch of New York stakes races, New York bred, and I think we gave out pick 3 that paid $247. We had a $400 try. We had 2 exactas of over $20, and we had a single. The horse we singled in the first leg of the pick 4 paid $11. So we came through pretty well. In fact, I hit the late pick 4, but we didn't pick that the fourth leg, which was not a stakes race. So if our followers had called in, I figured out they could have made about a minimum of $1,500, not betting a lot of money.
That's awesome. Well, those picks and those horses and sports and my own selections are available at jimfeist.com. So everybody out there, just check out that website. You can get our plays.
What are you doing with the World Series, Jim?
Well, I'm, I think it's going to be a tight World Series. I think we're going to go 6 or 7 games. I do feel that the Dodgers bullpen has a tremendous advantage. And that is the one area where I feel Houston is deficient. And if it went to a Game 7, the bullpen probably wouldn't matter because everybody uses their starters when their bullpen is not good, which is what Houston did in Game 7 against the Yankees. And McCullers came in and pitched fabulous. But he is a starter primarily, and they used him in relief because their bullpen is weak. But on a day-to-day basis, the starters for both teams are exceptionally good. Verlander has been incredible, but the worry with Verlander is he's pitched a lot of innings. He's 9-0 in his appearances with Houston, and he doesn't give up anything. I mean, you've all seen it if you watched any of these games. He's dominant. However, the Dodgers have pitchers of equal talent. But it comes down to that bullpen. The Dodgers bullpen in the last 23 innings have given up nothing. That's how strong they are. And I don't expect them to fall apart. So that's where the edge, when you put the edge together, the Dodgers have home field, they're rested, and everybody's available because nobody's worn out. They had a couple extra days of rest, and their bullpen is better. So that's where I feel the Dodgers have a big edge. And but you gotta like this Houston team. There's a lot to be said, emotionally because of what happened with the hurricane and everything, and devastation to the city. A lot of people want Houston to show up and get that title. But when it comes down to baseball, this Dodger team is pretty damn good, and they're both good teams. The Dodgers have an edge with home field and the bullpen.
I think the Dodgers have become a very public team, which is why they're minus $1.65, which is a little bit rich for me in terms of because I didn't think they'd be that big of a favorite. So I'm going to watch the first game, and I think Kuechly has a chance. And if somehow Houston can eke out a win in that first game, then I'll jump in and take the Dodgers when the price goes down. That's my betting strategy.
Well,
now, if Kuechly loses the first game, I'll go game by game.
Right. All right, everybody, jimfeist.com for all of our selections in horses and sports, baseball, football, basketball. NBA is going on. College is right around the corner. So it's an interesting time of year, Hank, and thanks for joining me today on this podcast, and we'll talk to you real soon.
I want to apologize for my college picks, which were terrible on Saturday, but we rebounded yesterday. So as Jimmy the Greek used to say, after a bad day, after he cursed for about 3 hours, he said, "Eh, the hell with it. Let's look at tomorrow."
I love it. Thank you, everybody.